Hi, I'm Jason and welcome to another video. Well, this is part two of a video which I covered previously by installing VirtualBox to install a Linux operating system for you to play around with. So if you remember in the first video, we downloaded and installed VirtualBox as an application to create virtual machines. We also downloaded an ISO image of Linux Lubuntu 19.10 to use to create a virtual machine with. So let's carry on where we left off. And I think I was going to tell you how we would go about creating a share between your Windows host machine, which is what we can see here, and the Linux virtual machine. So I'm going to go and create a new folder under my C drive, not in the virtual machine. And let's call this virtual, let's keep it all lowercase, it's just easier, isn't it? Virtual share. There we go. I'm going to right click that file, that folder that I've just created, go to properties, go to sharing, and I'm going to share it. So we got that shared. This may take a few minutes. I don't know why, there's nothing in it. Okay, that's done. Just want to have a quick look at the advanced shares. Share this folder, virtual share, permissions. Let's just click on that. Everyone, administrator has everything. Right, that's great. That's all I need to know. So we've created our virtual share folder. Now, let's open up VirtualBox. But before we start our Lubuntu server, I just want to go to settings. And I want to go down here where it says shared folders. And in here, we've got, under shared folders, we've got machine folders. But what I'm interested in here is this little plus on the right-hand side here. If I click on that, and it wants to know the folder path that I want to add as a share. So rather than get it wrong, let's go other, and we'll just search for it. It brings up our Windows host Explorer. And if I literally just go to the C drive and go to virtual share and select that folder, we then get the option to say, do we want it read only and auto mount? Well, we don't want read only. We want to be able to copy stuff, change stuff, add stuff, delete stuff. So I'm going to leave that unchecked, but I do want it to auto mount. And I'm not going to worry about the mount point. I'm just going to say OK and then OK again. And now I am going to power on my Lubuntu virtual machine. Okay, so we've booted into our Lubuntu virtual machine, our Linux virtual machine, and I don't immediately see a share of any sort there. So let's just have a quick look under my folder. Anything in there? No. But we see on the bottom left-hand side here, SF underscore virtual share. So this would be the share that we were after. And at the moment, when I double click it, it says error opening directory media SF virtual share permission denied. I think this is down to the fact that we need to set up a user for the VirtualBox share group. And the way we do that is we open a terminal. So we can either press Control, Alt and T, which seems to be the easiest way to do it. But on Lubuntu, if you click in the bottom left-hand corner here and then select System Tools and then Q Terminal, it brings up the same window. So we want to add our username, and in my case, we can see here it's Jason. And just in case, I can say, who am I? And it will tell me that is my username, Jason. So what we want to do is type sudo add user and then a space and then my username, Jason, and then a space and then vbox sf and press enter. Then it wants our password, which if you remember was 123456. And it says adding user adjacent to group VBoxSF, adding user adjacent to group VBoxSF. Done. Okay, unfortunately, I think we will probably need to reboot now. So let's close that window. And we will just double check. Yeah, so let's restart. Okay, so we're back in. Let's try and open the file now, and we can see we're straight inside it. So if I were to now right-click here and create a folder and call it test from Lubuntu, if I now navigate outside my virtual machine to my Windows host, and then open up our Explorer and go to the virtual share, inside there is our test from Lubuntu. So let's see this happening in real time. So on the left is my Windows machine, on the right is my Linux machine, and let's say, okay, let's open up my documents in a new window, and we'll drag and drop something across. So let's drag and drop this PDF into there. And if we go back and then back in again, there it is, it's appeared, and I can open it inside. In fact, let's view this full screen. So we can see that I can now access documents in between Windows or Linux. So if I wanted to now start to use Lubuntu to see if it could potentially replace my desktop, I can now copy all of my documents or any of my work that I would do from day to day from one place to another. It just makes things a lot easier. Now, one of the things I didn't go over, now that we have established that we can drag and drop stuff in between our two different machines, one thing I didn't mention was all we literally did in the first video was set up some very basic default settings for our virtual machine. So for now, I'm going to shut down this virtual machine, and I'm just going to explain a bit more about the settings that we can play around with. So for example, if I click Settings and then select System, this is where, obviously, you remember you saw me create 4 gigs of space, so we can alter that up and down as we like, obviously when the machine's not running. But then the next tab along is processors. So we can see that I have 8 processors, and it gives indications in green and red as to how far I guess you can go. So to know how many processors you've got on your Windows host machine, if you just go down to the bar here, right click, select Task Manager and select the Performance tab, what you'll first get up is a CPU window, and then down here it says Sockets 1, Cores 4, Logical Processors 8, because obviously it's a 4-core processor and it's running in hyperthreading, so in effect we've got 8 cores there, 8 processes running. So I could increase my CPUs to 4. It depends. If I'm happy with the performance on how the Linux desktop is performing in the virtual machine, then I could leave it alone, or I could say, well, I want to give it 4 processors for a bit of oomph, or just 2 processors. So that's that. Let's have a look at the display. So currently my video memory is set to 16 meg on my virtual machine, which isn't very big. I have 128 meg to play with because that's the built-in onboard memory storage of my graphics card. So I could decide, okay, let's give it 64. Let's give it 64 meg, and that might just give me a bit more of an edge on web browsing, YouTube videos, stuff like that. And you may even want to include 3D acceleration, so we could tick that box as well. I'm not going to go over all of the different settings. I'll let you play with those at your leisure. Storage, I don't need to worry about. Audio, it picks up the audio controller that we currently have. A lot of this it actually picks up from that additional pack that we downloaded and installed in the first video. So one other thing I wanted to show you is how to also share a USB drive in between your Windows system and your Linux virtual machine. So I'm going to insert my USB stick now. And we can see it's just popped up there as the USB drive F. And if we click the plus button under the USB setting in the VirtualBox settings here, we can see I've just plugged in this generic USB 2 card reader. So I'm going to select that, say OK, and start up the virtual machine. So here we are booted back into our virtual machine. So let's make this full screen. And if I open up computer at the top here, we can see that we can access the 32 gig volume of my drive that I put in, my USB stick. We still have access to our virtual share drive with our files in there that I demonstrated. So we are now ready to be able to test this out to our heart's content. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you want me to create anything else to do with Linux or Ubuntu or virtual machines, then please like, comment, subscribe below, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.